It is our pleasure to be joined by the general manager for Oklahoma football, Jim Nagy. Welcome to the podcast, my friend. What's going on?
It's good to be on, Phil. It's good to, I guess it's back-to-back days, right? Lucky enough to see you guys yesterday, but good to be on the pod.
You all settled in up there yet? You got your office, you got all your things in order, or still working that out?
Not settled at all. I mean, where I'm sitting right now will eventually be my office. But right now I came over here because there's actually a nice backdrop, but uh, I'm in the other hallway in a kind of a makeshift office for right now. But it doesn't matter because I'm spending all my time in the war room watching the tape anyway.
Well, I love to hear that. Now, right after you got to OU, you did tweet out a picture, and the fan base was concerned about the size of the TV in your office. Have we upgraded yet? Because I feel like the fans were legitimately worried about you, Jim.
I don't know how it came across. Look, it's not a small TV at all. I should probably like post something else after that with a tape measure to show people it's not a small TV whatsoever, but it looked really small in that post. I thought it was pretty funny. The fans kind of went off on that.
Well, so tell us what's going on. What's the day to day looking like for you right now? I'm sure you're still, learning the current roster, learning the landscape. Just where is the main focus of your time going right now?
Well, the good part is, Teddy, I've learned the building by now. Um, so I got here on a Wednesday and then had a couple days with everybody in the office, and then they all went their separate ways on spring break. So it was a little bit like I was Kevin McAllister for a week, like in Home Alone. I was in this building by myself, literally by myself for about 8 days, and I was, running around the hallways, trying to find out where everything was, getting myself lost. But so now that we're past that, yeah, man, there's every day there's something new. Um, Meeting with different departments, just trying to get around the building and know as many people as possible, and certainly learn this roster, go to practice. Live evaluations are the best evaluations. So yeah, just every day, man, every day there's something new.
The evaluation piece is extremely interesting to me. Clearly, that is what you've been doing for a long, long time. What has the process been like? Like, how have you gone about evaluating the current roster?
Well, starting on the tape, I've just taken it kind of position by position. I'll dive into one position group at a time. So that's how I handled the tape part of it, and watched a lot of full game stuff. Also watched a lot of cut ups when it came to certain positions. You get to wide receivers, DBs, you can just roll through targets and things like that. And then every day at practice so far this spring, I've taken a different position group really to kind of zero in on. Taking a lot of visual notes and handwritten notes on body types and movement. Just trying to learn these guys physically. You know, the stuff you can't see on tape, right? And some of these guys have gotten better throughout the spring too, which that's probably been the most fun. Is see some guys that I maybe thought one thing off the 2024 tape, and then to get into this spring, and they're already showing growth. So credit to the coaching staff, credit to the players for putting in the work. But some of these guys are already changing.
I know, one of the things that you said very early on whenever you accepted the role is how important the collaboration is with the coaching staff. And you talked to some of your previous stops and stories that you had and how to approach that. How has that been? Just digging into the roster and into position groups with the coaches.
Yeah, it's been awesome. No, it's been great. It's I've tried to be really intentional with the communication there, just getting to know the guys informally too, not just on a in a business setting, but just informally talking. Letting them know my background and hearing about their background, where they came from. I mean, a lot of these guys. I mean, shoot, a lot of these guys I scouted. A lot of these guys I've crossed paths with. When I was in the NFL or my last job at the Senior Bowl. So, I was pretty familiar with a lot of these guys. But no, it's been great. And again, we're coming in on this 2026 class as a scouting group right now, and what we're trying to do is, these coaches, the staff has done an unbelievable job getting us to this point. But now that we're getting through a bunch of these guys on the 2026 board, it's kind of, steering it in a direction if we have to, when we're on a number of players, kind of letting them know, kind of how we're stacking things on our end, the way we see it. We're really dealing with the group of players that they've brought to the table already, because they're so far down the road. But yeah, the collaboration's been great, man. It's been really good getting to know these guys, and they're embracing this new structure. They really are. I feel that genuinely. So, and as we go, it's just going to get stronger and stronger. So I'm actually really excited about like a year from now when I'm completely settled here, and the new scouting group is completely settled, and we're all on the same page. Like I haven't even given the coaching staff the new grading scale yet. I'm going to do that before they hit the road here in April, so we can all start talking the same language on players. But I want to get through spring practice before we do that. But yeah, man, it's been great so far.
Okay, well that leads to a very important question. Number scale guy, or are we talking color code scale guy?
I've always been a numbers guy, but we are going to color code it. It's going to be easier. I think it's going to be easier for the coaching staff to decipher, and the key will be just all the same language. So top of the scale is a blue player, goes blue, red, purple, black, orange, brown, pink. Um, and we're very detailed. There's going to be no ambiguity. I mean, there's really detailed when we give these guys the scale. It basically every color group, basically defines where we see those guys, in a certain time frame in the program. And then we're going to have a series of alerts, kind of a letter alert system that Taylor Red, our new assistant GM, and I both used in going all the way back to my Patriot days, which were a long time ago. And we've added a bunch, and we've got rid of some, and make it more college specific, or high school specific, I should say. But so, let's say, for example, we've got a really good player, top of the scale. He's a blue player. He's got a mental alert, and then he's got a medical alert, so he'd be a blue MX. And then so we can just talk shorthand through players that way. And then there's also the one thing we are adding as well is a gettability scale. So on the gettability scale, it's going to be a 1 to 5. Five basically being he's a slam dunk. We know he's coming here. He loves us. He's pretty much told us he's wants to be a Sooner. So in that case, he would be a blue 5 MX, and we can just talk shorthand that way. So no, I'm excited to get those guys going on the scale. I've kind of discussed it a little bit with some of them. I think they're excited to actually have like a scale structure in place, which wasn't here in the past. And but we'll get there. We'll get there. We got about another week.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
a blue
yeah.
5MX is a BMW, isn't it? That sounds it sounds like a BMW.
It probably is. There probably is that.
Well, we're in spring practice right now. The post spring transfer portal window is quickly approaching. Well, is this free? I don't know. Like, how do you approach that? Does this feel like free agency? Does it feel like more of a draft? I guess just how are you approaching this upcoming important window?
Yeah, we're going to be really strategic with it, Teddy. I mean, there's a couple spots on the roster that we would certainly like to upgrade, but we don't know what's going in the portal yet. Um, I think Kirby Smart. There was a clip with Kirby last week talking about how agents are hitting them up and pitching players that aren't even in the portal yet. That's certainly happening. I'm getting a lot of communication from agents on players, and guys that are in the portal already, and guys they think will go into the portal. So we're trying to watch all those guys as we get that communication from the agent group, just so we're ready. We don't know if they're going to be in there or not, but we will be strategic. To me, at this point, they're going to be players that clearly upgrade our starting units. We've got a couple down the line depth needs, and we'll address those if we can. Maybe they'll just be scholarships or kind of low money, but we have some money, kind of earmarked for starter level players that would significantly upgrade the roster, and we'll see if any players shake free that way. But if they are, we'll be ready for them.
So clearly you've been part of building rosters in the NFL, but when it comes to building a roster in the NFL, like the number you're working with, and you also know the market for certain positions. That's really not how it's working right now in college football. how has it how challenging has it been for you, Jim, to kind of learn this new market and how this sport is currently functioning from a roster construction and kind of fund allocation standpoint?
Yeah, we've got some models already in place for next year, Gabe. We've got a 2-year model set up for this year, next year with different contingencies. We're certainly like everyone. It's nothing, it's earth shattering, but we are going to value certain positions over others. We're going to allocate certain dollars at certain positions. But again, that's not a hard and fast rule. I mean, if there's a really good player out there, an impact player at a position maybe we don't value as highly, but we know he can make an immediate impact, we're going to pay that player. But I think yeah, it is. I will go back to your original point. The really difficult thing is not knowing the market. Like we use that example. We talked about it yesterday out of practice that, in the NFL, what a starting linebacker is going for in the league. You know what a Pro Bowl linebacker is going for. You know what the market is for those guys, generally, right? I mean, teams can go out and way overspend and shoot the market. You can do a Deshaun Watson deal and blow the market to shreds. But
Yeah, that went well.
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
that went
not
well
do
for him. But
Please don't do that, Jim. Please.
but we don't. Yeah, we don't. But we don't know. We don't know what other teams, are spending. We don't know the numbers out there. You can't rely on agents for that either. I mean, you get yourself in a lot of trouble. If you let agents kind of dictate the market. So we have to be disciplined. We have to be really disciplined on how we assign value. But again, it's going to be case specific as well, because if there's a player that we really think could be a difference maker here at OU, we're going to go give it our best shot.
What's the learning curve been like? I mean, for the majority of your career, you've been evaluating guys that are really the peak of the peak. Most of the development is done. The physical, most of these guys have grown into the bodies that they're going to be in.
Yep.
But now you add the high school element where you've got to start to kind of forecast where this guy may be in 3 or 4 years. How has that been? And is that something that you enjoy or think that it's going to be something you like doing? I guess, I don't know. It just seems like a new function that you don't have a whole lot of depth in at this point.
Yeah, no, Teddy, I'll say this, like the high school tape has actually, I haven't found it to be as challenging as I thought it would be. Because when you really boil it down, I mean, what I have learned, there are so many different levels of high school football out there. It's great when you get, two really good Texas programs or two great Florida programs playing against each other. But no, when you just really focus on instincts and movement and urgency and play style, you can really dial in on the football player. But to your original point, I mean, I just got off the phone with Taylor Redd, our assistant GM. We were talking about this because we had a group of players here yesterday, some really good ones as well. And we get all the measurements. We measured hand, arm, wing, just like you would at a pro day, just so we can start having benchmarks, because some of these guys will be on campus 4 or 5 times before official visits. And we want to start charting growth progressions with players. But that's why I'd love to get, we've already started to talk to our sports science people downstairs. Robert Saussman does a great job, but he and I are getting together on, like, what is a kid, if a guy's a 6'1", 260-pound defensive tackle in high school, what does that guy typically grow to be? Right. So really dialing in on, that's the hardest part, right? Like, I'm used to dealing with 22, 23-year-old guys leaving college and they're physically mature. These guys, they're not. The guys that we're bringing here on campus right now aren't close to that. So we had a receiver here over the weekend that is a big, strong receiver, love his skill set. And he's already a really big guy. Like, I'm wondering what this guy's going to be like in 3 years. So to me, that's the hardest part, is that body growth progression.
No, that's interesting, Jim. And it kind of leads me to this question. Is there any like perfect formula between high school guys and portal guys? And like, is there, what type of balance do you see you taking? Like, what approach do you see you taking that? Or is it going to be a year by year thing, you think?
Yeah, it's going to be a year by year thing, Gabe, but I do think that, this staff does such a good job in recruiting players. Again, our job is to get them on more players and better players. They're going to do a great job recruiting them. And then they also do a great job on the retainment piece. Like this culture is so strong here at OU, to a large part because of guys like the two of you. And that's why this culture is so strong. So if we target the right guys and they're here in the program and they're not gonna turn, at the first bit of adversity that strikes that they're jumping in the portal. Like if we're really dialed into the makeup of these guys and how they're wired, we're going to be able to hold on to them, and just really see the development through. And again, you're going to have some attrition. Guys are going to get antsy because they're not getting reps. That's going to happen. That's when you're going to have to go to the portal. But I think we've already seen, as new as this whole world is, we've already seen some programs make some major mistakes going too heavy into the portal. We never want to be living and dying year to year in the portal. That's fine for basketball because you only really need, like three really good players on a basketball team to make a deep NCAA run. We need a full team. It's very different than football. We need to build this thing through high school recruiting and then supplement through the portal. And again, but if a great player shakes free at a position we need or a position we see a guy can be a difference maker, we are going to go after those guys, because there's going to be some late bloomers out there that maybe we didn't identify out of high school that we want to make a run at. So there's not a magic number, breakdown, but I do think that if we do this thing the right way on the high school side, we won't have to be in the portal too heavy year to year.
In the NFL, if you somehow find yourself into the war room for a team, you'll say that they have a grade on every single player in the NFL. That's not realistic in college football just because there's so many teams, there's so many players. Where I guess what's the process and of finding, like, where are you going to dedicate your time? Is it just kind of who's caught your attention across college football, or is it going to be methodical to where every team is kind of evaluated and you grade most of those positions?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we're going to start in the SEC. We're going to start with our opponents. This really surprised me a couple years ago. I lost one of our scouts at the Senior Bowl to an SEC program, and all he does is do advanced scout. He's a former NFL scout. All he does is advanced work. And he's like, Jim, this hasn't existed in college football, which kind of blew me away, kind of blew my mind. But we'll have someone on our college scouting side doing advanced work on all our opponents. So by the end of the year, we're going to have the majority of the SEC already scouted, and then we're going to obviously supplement that and finish out the rest of the conference. But yeah, we're going to target across college football. I mean, there's some really good players at the G5 level and also at the FCS level. But again, you're targeting all conference type players at that level. When it comes to the Power Fours, we're gonna really scout everybody. We're gonna have enough manpower in the building to do that, which is great. I mean, the credit to the leadership here at OU, really believing in the structure. We're gonna have plenty of manpower to scout all the Power Fours, and then we're gonna selectively scout the group of fives in FCS. And there's really good players at that level. I mean, my last job at the Senior Bowl is a testament to that. We'd have 10, 11 FCS guys, draftable FCS players in the Senior Bowl every year, and all those guys got drafted. So if they were draft picks at that level, I mean, shoot, we'll take draftable players at OU. That's a really good thing. We had 3 players at the combine this year. That's not good enough. So we'll be targeting all levels, Teddy.
That's the FCS, kind of the G5. Have you developed a lot of relationships at those levels with your role at the Senior Bowl? Because I feel like you took a lot of pride in finding the absolute best at those levels and bringing them to the game.
Yeah, tons of relationships, and those are really important. I mean, and the same thing with the agent community. This whole thing is relationships. I've learned that. I really learned that probably more so at the Senior Bowl than even when I was working in the NFL, just because that was such a new role, and there's so many different players that go into the Senior Bowl thing, and So really, it's a relationship business, and I've learned that. But yeah, um, those FCS coaches, I mean, some great relationships at some of those programs that year in and year out, you look at the FCS level, some of those programs are the ones that crank guys out every year. I mean, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, those programs do a great job. In the group of five level as well. I mean, there's some group of five coaching staffs that do an unbelievable job. Um, I frankly hate it for those guys. That to me, that's got to be the hardest level to coach at right now, is because you develop good players, and then you got schools like Oklahoma and bigger schools coming to get your best players. But yeah, relationships certainly matter.
Well, I know that you probably had some type of relationship with Brent Venables before you came. He's coached so many great players that I'm sure those conversations for the Senior Bowl you would probably have. Um, what's been your opinion now that you're here? And I guess what you thought of him previously, how does that match up with what you've seen with how he interacts with the team and with the coaching staff? I guess overall impressions of Brent Venables.
It's been great. I've really been impressed with Brent's ability to multitask. I mean, not only is he the head coach, now he's calling the defense this year. A lot's been made of that. So for him to balance his time is I mean, it's been really impressive to watch. Sometimes it's hard to get him because he's so busy. It's going to be great. The office I'm in right now, if you guys have been in the building, I'm going to be directly across from Brent. So we're going to have a lot of unintentional, when we're bumping into each other, which is going to be great because sometimes I only need him for, a couple of minutes at a time, just so we stay on the same page on everything we have going. I mean, there's so many balls in the air right now that, sometimes it's just all I need him for is 5 minutes. But man, his ability to just to multitask and then communicate to the team. Just I've sat in a couple of the team meetings, and he's great with those guys. Then the intensity on the practice field. It's been awesome to hear from the guys we've had on campus, the recruits that have been in a lot of other places and a lot of big time places, and the difference in our intensity level at practice compared to some of these other schools that the players have been at. So, and you guys have been out there. Yesterday, Saturday was a really spirited practice. It was to me, it was maybe the best back and forth practice of the spring in terms of offense making plays and then defense making plays, and not one side kind of dominating it. We've had some one-sided practices this spring, so that was great. So no, he's been awesome. He's been great. We've been on the same page. We're really aligned right now on some of this portal stuff because that's the thing that's right in front of us. So yeah, things have been great.
If you got to have a quarterback in the SEC to have a chance?
No doubt.
And Teddy and I have been out there. We've seen Mateer. He certainly looks like he's going to be an absolute stud for this football team. Jim, what have you thought of what you've seen from John Mateer so far in spring ball?
Yeah, you hit it. I mean, it's not just the SEC. It's Pop Warner. It's high school. I mean, you got to have a real guy under center. And Oklahoma's had one. I mean, you played with him. I mean, you guys both played with great quarterbacks here, and I feel like we got a real guy. I think everyone in the building knows we have a real guy at quarterback, including the teammates. I've had a chance to talk to some of the teammates about him. I'm really trying to ask about John's leadership and how he is downstairs in the locker room. And man, they love this guy. And he makes, a handful of throws every day in practice where you're like, okay, that's a real NFL guy out there. I mean, he's going to make a difference. I want to pump the brakes a little bit on some of the Baker Mayfield stuff. I mean, the guy was the number one overall pick in the draft and a Heisman Trophy winner. But no, we're everyone in the build is excited about John. He is. He's got it. He's been in Ben's system for a couple years now, which is huge. He's a new player to Oklahoma, but he's not a new player to Ben Arbuckle in his system. And just to see John help the other players through it, we've had some of the transfer wide receivers are stepping up, making plays. Some of the young receivers are stepping up and making plays. So yeah, it's going to be fun, man. John's going to be I mean, the best compliment I can give any player at any position when I would meet with him when I was a scout, I would just tell him, man, you were fun to watch. I mean, bottom line, like that's the highest compliment I can give. And right now, going out to practice every day, John Mateer is a lot of fun to watch.
Hard not to watch him everywhere he goes whenever you're out there walking around at practice through the drills and everything. Has there been any evaluations on the current roster that have maybe really stood out, or maybe were surprising, or guys that you think, whether it's physically or as you've gone through everything, that have really stood out, made an impression?
Yeah, I don't want to single out any players. I'll say some of the secondary guys are really starting to step up. Without naming names, there's some young guys in that secondary that got some dog in them. It's fun to watch. Um, Offensive line group is getting better, as you would expect with Coach Bedenbow. I mean, they're coming along. A couple of those young pups are look like they could help us
I'll
sooner.
say it. Fasusi looks amazing.
Yeah, sooner
Looks
rather than
amazing.
later.
Foj looks amazing.
There you go. You said it, not me. But yeah, no, there's some guys that are stepping up, some young guys, and it's really fun. I think some of these guys see an opportunity in front of them. Even some of the transfer portal guys. They're here at Oklahoma for the first time, coming from a smaller program. You would think they might be a little wide-eyed and overwhelmed by the step up in competition, and they're not. I mean, some of these guys are really getting after it. So no, it's been a really competitive spring. It's been fun. It's energized me being around a football team again. I went 7 years at the Senior Bowl where I wasn't around ball all the time. So it's been awesome going to practice and really setting my eyes on a new group every day and learning them. And there's been a lot more pleasant surprises than disappointments. That's for sure.
So, Jim, right now, you've got Taylor Red. I know that you're constantly working on trying to get this front office looking the way that you want it to look.
Mhm.
What's your vision for the front office? Like when it's a finished product, how will it look?
Well, we're getting there. Taylor was a great first piece. I will say he was here last year with Jake Rosenberg and the athlete group, so he was in this thing. He was in the winter portal. He kind of saw that thing through. So then when I got the job and connected with Taylor after that, I mean, he's really a bright guy. We have a similar background with New England. Now we're really far apart, um, but we came from the same place. He was around Coach Belichick and kind of came up under Bill in his time in the NFL. So that relationship has been awesome. It's been really fun. I mean, Taylor got here right away. He got here from Knoxville and we hit the ground running. And we made a couple other ads that we haven't announced yet. I want to wait till we get the whole group together, but we've had a couple ads that I'm really excited about as well. Just trying to bring a kind of a diverse group of skill sets and backgrounds. So we're all like just because we're like the new scouting group, I think that the guys that we're going to bring in can also really help on the recruiting side, if that makes sense. I mean, some of these guys we've added are going to be really good with the players. Some of the younger guys we're adding are going to be really good with the players when we bring them in. Some of the older guys are going to be really good with the parents because they're close to the parents' age. So we're trying, and they all have really good football backgrounds, NFL, college, so really diverse backgrounds. So it's going to be an awesome staff once we get it together. I've actually had 2 calls tonight with a couple guys. So I don't want to rush it. I want to get the right guys and have this be the right fit. Just like when you're building a team and building a locker room, you want to get the right fits, the right pieces, and that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm really excited about I mean, we've got 5 guys here that are just cranking every day. But I can't wait to get it announced because I think the Sooner fan base will be excited about it as well.
Well, so traditionally, and correct me on any of this if I'm wrong, but it's been, you got windows where the college coaches can go out and see players, right? And go physically see them, whether it's at, go watch a game or whatever. And it's difficult, obviously, because of their schedules. Will your scouts be able to go see high school players, or I guess how does that work? Are they going to be evaluating high school kids actively, like out seeing them?
No, because you can only have a certain number of on the road.
Okay, I guess that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
How does that, the coaches being out and the scouts, how does that marry up?
So we need to come up with that list by August 1st for next year. Like, so the name, nobody that's coming on now can go out. But by August 1st, we need to put that list out. And that's a conversation Brent and I will have. I've talked to some other guys, some of my friends that work at other SEC programs that where the coordinators aren't going out, and they're they feel like it's time better spent being in the building, right, for at the coordinator spot. So we'll look at that. I think there could be some value of having a couple guys on our scouting staff being able to go out on the road. I think that could be valuable, but that's something Brett and I haven't got there yet. We'll get there eventually, but that's a conversation to be had.
That's interesting. Now, Jim, since you've taken the job, since you've started putting the work in, has anything about the job or about the process, has anything surprised you? Whether it's been good or bad, where you've just been like, oh, I really didn't anticipate doing that.
Uh, Probably too much, yeah. There's probably too many surprises, man. I, I have tried to go into this thing eyes wide open. I really have, and I know I said it at the first press conference. I've got a lot of blind spots. Like I'm not coming in here thinking I've got all the answers. I don't have close to all the answers, and that's why I'm trying to surround myself with people that do. Quite frankly, I mean that's why I'm trying to get some guys that have been really heavy on the high school side and are good high school evaluators, guys that I've seen a track record. They've been able to find under the radar high school guys that went on to become good college players and NFL players. That's what we're trying to do. So no, there's been a bunch of surprises, man, but nothing I felt like overwhelmed with, really. I mean, the only time I felt overwhelmed is when you really think about everything you got ahead of you, you can get to be overwhelmed. So it's really been important for me to just take every day one at a time. And then it's easier to manage. Like I kind of have, I have this week all set out. And of course, there's things that pop up over the course of a day that, are unforeseen. That happens. But I'm just trying to take it day to day, and that way I won't get overwhelmed.
Most importantly, how you navigate Norman? Do you like the area? Have you been able to go
I
see some places? Go out
I'm
to games?
recruiting him to be an Oklahoma City guy with me, Ted.
Okay.
I've been trying to get my hooks into Jim and draw him here north.
Yeah, I don't know where we're gonna live yet. I love Norman, man. So the best I've learned this in my time scouting. I like to run. When I was on the road scouting, you couldn't always get in a hotel with a gym. So when I could, I would work out. But one thing you could always do is find a place where you get leave the hotel and run somewhere. So I've become a decent runner. Not that I'm fast or I'm entering any races or anything, but I do like to run. So I'll leave the stadium every day and go in a different direction. And so I've run through all the different neighborhoods, every different direction. I've gotten down across Main Street, and so I feel like I've got a really good sense of Norman by now. Maybe some of the outer areas I haven't, but if you could do it, I think within like a 5 mile radius of the stadium, I'm doing pretty good and knowing where I'm going. I'm not getting lost anymore, but it's a great city. It reminds me a lot of where I grew up. It's in some ways it reminds me, really great people, working class neighborhoods. And that's kind of the same neighborhoods that I grew up in. So it kind of feels like home that way.
Well, Sooner Nation, if you see Jim out running, give him a wave. Jim, you're the man, buddy. I appreciate the time, and I'm so happy you're here.
Me too, man. I'm fired up. No, it's gonna be awesome. Really excited about this football team and where Brent and the staff have it going. I mean, I really am. And it starts at the quarterback spot. I mean, John's a really, really easy guy to point to get fired up about. But I think there's a lot of players that are going to make a nice jump this fall. So yeah, man, it's been great getting to know you guys a little bit in person. We've done the podcast thing for a while, but just to hang out and practice a little bit's been fun. And you had Sam Branford and Sam and Lane and Ryan Broyles and all the guys out of practice the other day. Really cool, man. It's really cool what you guys do coming back. I had that post on social media last night that we had a big time recruit in, and he wanted to know. He wants to go to a place where former players go back because it just shows him that it's family. And then you guys all showed up yesterday, so it was cool timing. But again, I know you guys are around a lot. I've seen both of you practice before, so really cool, man. Look forward to us spending more time.
You're the best, dude. Thanks for the time.
Okay. Thanks, fellas.